host, Zachary, as always, and today I am doing a film review on the movie Iron Man. That was by Marvel Studios. And now something interesting about this movie is actually first, in this review, we are going to do a little backstory on the film. This is the movie that kicked off the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, something that most of us know, and if you don't, I'll tell you, it's that when they made this movie, let's just say Marvel was on the verge of bankruptcy, and so they needed to do something. So you know what they did? They were going to make a movie. And now when they made this movie, this was a gigantic risk. Like, they didn't know if this was going to end up working out or not, so you know what? They were just like, let's try it. So they tried it, and well, obviously it was a financial success, or else we wouldn't have gotten several other movies and crossovers. So yeah, let's just get into the movie review. So now, when we start off this film, we see that, we see just a bunch of military vehicles, or jeeps, or Humvees, whatever you want to call them, just driving down a road. And we meet, and without Tony Stark saying anything, we start to get an idea of who he is. We know that we know that he's rich, we know that he's important, and we know this because he's not saying anything. None of there's military people sitting around him. He's holding a cup. He's holding a glass in his hand full of champagne. You know, it's awesome. And then he starts talking, and nobody's saying anything back because they're kind of like, scared. They don't really know what to say. And that's kind of it's nice. And then later we see a giant explosion, and he's like, "Well, no, what's happening?" And then he goes out, and then he gets kidnapped by this terrorist organization called the 10 Rings, I believe, yeah. And we figure out that they've kidnapped Tony Stark because they've gotten access to some of his weapons, and they want him to build another weapon that's incredibly dangerous. So he's like, fine. But while he's building this suit, while he's building these weapons, he's building a suit. Not this suit, a different suit. Basically, the suit that would later become the Ironmonger suit. But, so it's a big gray metal suit. Doesn't look that great, but trust me, it is. It's awesome in the movie. So, yeah, later after they finish building it, or after Iron Man and this other guy that's down there finished building it, there is this awesome scene. There is this absolutely amazing scene where Iron Man just steps out of the cave that he was kidnapped in and just uses a giant flamethrower from his wrists, and it just looks so cool. And there's not a word that is spoken, but it is legitimately so awesome. By far my most favorite moment in the movie. And so later we meet this guy. We meet Obadiah Stane, which is the craziest name in film history. Even for a comic book movie, this is a weird name. But yeah. By the way, Obadiah Stane later becomes the villain. Just to let you guys know. But yeah. So later. So basically, Iron Man's back. He's like, I don't want to make weapons anymore. But then Obadiah's like, oh man, no, you can't do this. But Tony Stark doesn't want to make weapons because he's focusing on making this suit right here, this epic Iron Man suit, the one from this picture too, you know. And so yeah, so they make this. He makes it, and it's amazing. It's so cool, and we figure out some of the flaws with it. Like when he's doing his first flight, like actual flight, we see one of the things that Tony Stark didn't really get right on the suit, and that happens to be the frost, because when he went too high in the air, the suit just malfunctioned and just turned off entirely, and then he just fell from the sky, and then it just turned on last second. What a big surprise. But then, yeah, so, yeah, I thought that was amazing. And something I want to add before we go any further is that I feel like, Robert Downey Jr. put his absolute all into this film. Like this was his second chance after going through a slew of terrible things and addiction and all that, and he just comes back and he turns his life around. It's great. But yeah, so later Obadiah Stane's getting angry, and he's like, oh no, I'm gonna be a villain. But then we already figure out that he is a villain because Obadiah Stane paid the 10 rings to go kidnap Tony Stark. And it's like, oh wow. The first time I watched the movie, I actually didn't guess that, but I don't know, it was a cool surprise, I guess. Wow. And then we see that Obadiah Stane is suiting up in his Ironmonger outfit I spoke about earlier. And he's like, oh no, I'm gonna kill Tony Stark. And I swear, during the entire fight scene, he is just like, I swear, I can hear him like gurring the entire time. It's so annoying and weird. But you can only notice it, like, once you watch it a few times. Or at least I did, but yeah. And one thing I want to talk about before I talk about this is the scene where this picture came from right here. So basically, Tony Stark in his Iron Man costume goes to this village where the 10 rings have taken over, and he just beats up all of the members and just sets this village free. And it is so cool seeing Tony Stark get revenge on these people. Iron Man, it's just great. And like, not all of the CGI is great. In fact, I think even though I think the CGI looks better in this movie than it does in some of the more modern MCU films, it just didn't look too great, but it was still pretty cool, not gonna lie. But anyways, back to the fight with the Ironmonger. So they're fighting, and it's just the goofiest thing ever. Some people say the fight was kind of lame, but I don't really agree with that. But yeah, so basically, after this, there's this big thing, and Obadiah dies from a giant arc reactor that gets set off. And yeah, so yeah, the ending, and then at the end, the awesome line plays, and it says the title. Last second, it says the title. And Tony Stark just walks up is doing a speech and says, "I am Iron Man," and then it's like and it's like so cool. But yeah, that's my review of the film. That's my review of the film Iron Man that was released in 2008. And if you liked this video or any of my other content, please consider subscribing. So yeah.